Okay, what's up, YouTube? What's up, man? I got a brand new uniform shirt on, man. First time I ever wore it. Let you guys know that. Brand new tank top, white beat or whatever. Brand new, right? Took it out of the bag. You know, they got the bag of them. I couldn't find the individual ones, man. USA, they didn't have any of the, the individual tank tops, so I just bought a bag of the Hanes or Fruit of the Loom. I don't know what brand they are. Anyways, but I had to buy these, so better than nothing. Yeah, I don't want to sit around with no shirt. How you guys doing, man? I want to thank everyone before I get going. I want to thank all of you so much, man. Before I get going, maybe you click off before I can thank you. Anyways, I'm getting more and more subscribers, man. Thank you guys so much for watching my videos. You have a lot of choices out there, right? You have a lot of choices of stuff you can watch, things you can do, right? And you're choosing to click on my videos and then subscribe, man. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Right on, man. Very nice. Very nice. If you guys were here, man, I think I'd hug you. I might kiss a few of you. I'd have to look at you first, but for sure I'd probably give you a nice hug, man. But like I said, I might kiss you. I don't know. Wouldn't kiss you on the mouth or nothing, but I'd give you like a grandma kiss on the cheek. All right. Anyways, to get going, this is a Friday afternoon in Cambodia, and for YouTube, and unfortunately I got to put it on X because I'm trying to get my business up there. Anyways, I don't really do the Rumble thing anymore. I think I've mentioned that. I don't do the Rumble thing anymore. I tried it. I put a lot of videos on it, and I only get like 2 or 3 views, man. And sometimes on my YouTube long videos, I only get a couple too, but Rumble takes it so long. It's so difficult to upload a video on Rumble. It just takes forever, and I use a VPN, so that probably slows it down. I'm overseas, that probably slows it down, and like I said, nobody even really knows what Rumble is over here. I'm going to say probably half the world doesn't even know what Rumble is, They used to have the guy, right? Let's get ready to rumble, right? Or whatever he used to say. But anyways, they don't really. Maybe again one day I'll start putting stuff on Rumble, man. But, some of the bigger platform or some of the bigger shows, like Tim Pool and Stick Section Hammer and Joe Rogan and some of the other ones, they put their stuff on Rumble because they already have a big audience and maybe some people follow them over there. You have a more freedom of speech on Rumble than you do on YouTube. I do know that. Okay. They're not as restrictive, of what you can say, I haven't had any strikes yet on YouTube. I've had a couple warnings about stuff I've said, but no strikes. Anyway, so let's get going with, I guess, today's show. All right. I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but your children are being robbed. Okay? They are being robbed, your children. Okay? They're being robbed from the time they go to kindergarten or preschool all the way to where they have graduated from a university. They're being robbed. Okay? And I'm going to tell you how. Okay? You decide. Okay? You put your children preschool or kindergarten or whatever it is. Okay? They're not even really schools anymore. They're indoctrination centers where they indoctrinate the children into this rainbow lifestyle. I'll leave it at that. Okay? They're indoctrinated into that. The boys are persuaded to play with dolls, and the girls are persuaded to play with cars and trucks and blocks and whatever, right? Okay? That's where the indoctrination starts. Okay? And once they're out of that, then they're in elementary school. Okay? Where the teachers' unions, okay, who are controlled by the Democratic Party, or the vice versa, whichever way it is, they indoctrinate your children into this disgusting liberal lifestyle. Okay? For me, it's disgusting. For you, it might not be. I don't know. But for me, it is. Okay? Which might be fine, but they take away all critical thinking from your children. Okay? They put them in classrooms with teachers that openly tell these first and second and third grade students that they're gay. They got rainbow flags. They have what is it called? Trans reading hour or whatever it's called. Okay? That's not education. Okay? That's called indoctrination. Okay? 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 All you got to do is read any kind of books, right? Read a book. You know? Paper book. Right? Not your phone. Right? That's what they did in China with Mao. They indoctrinated them. That's what they do in North Korea. They indoctrinate children from the time they're little. They indoctrinate them all the way through. Okay? I have watched video after video after video of teachers saying they're quitting. They can't take it anymore. Okay? The students are disruptive in class, won't listen, and they probably do the same thing at home. Okay? If by some chance they get sent to the office, they get time out in the office, they get to sit there and drink, have cookies and milk. Okay? And they get to be told that everything's okay, go back to class and be nice. It's kind of like a little break, right? The parents get called into the school, and the parents, if they even show up, will show up smelling like weed or alcohol, or they won't show up at all. Okay? And if they do show up, they blame the teachers in the school for their children's behavior. Okay? That behavior starts at home. But you see, the moms and dads are too busy playing with their phones and doing whatever they're doing. Okay? They're indoctrinated to think that a woman can raise 2 or 3 children without a man. Okay? They don't need a man in the house. The mom can just go around and do whatever they want to do. Okay? And the schools promote that. Okay? Now, they're gonna eventually get out of elementary school. Then they're gonna go into middle school. Okay? Where the school is going to try to convince them to change genders. Okay? And if they do want to do it, the school will hide that from the parents. Will literally tell the students not to tell the parents. And if the parents complain about it, I know in California, they could take your children from you. Okay? That's not education. Okay? That has nothing to do with education. Okay? I taught over here in Cambodia for 3 years. Okay? I have talked to several teachers that have come over here and retired. Okay? That have taught in the schools over here from the United States. And they say, wow, it's so much different over here teaching. Okay? The students in the United States have no respect for the family, for the school, for the education system. Okay? Over here, it's not like that. Like I said, I taught an international school over here for 3 years. I'm speaking from experience. Okay? Okay? I've had disruptive boys, mostly, some girls, but mostly boys in my class, 11, 12, 13 years old. Okay? And I will pull them outside. Okay? I'll pull them outside. I'll hold the door closed, and I will get all up in their face. Okay? And I'll tell them, when I tell you to shut up, that means shut up. When I tell you to sit down, that means sit down. Okay? And I tell them, if you got a problem with that, I'll tell you what you do. You go home and you tell your daddy to come to school. Okay? Or you tell your daddy to come to my house. Okay? And I'll teach your daddy a lesson he'll never forget, and I'll do it right in front of you, brother. Now, when we go back in that classroom, if I got to talk to you again, it's not going to be nice. Okay? And I had a student one time, talked to him several times, didn't want to listen. Okay? Was disruptive in class to other students. Okay? And I didn't say anything. I told him to leave my class and go to the office. He said no. Okay, got it. I reached over there and I grabbed a handful of his hair and I pulled him out of that desk and pulled him out of that class all the way to the office. Okay? Didn't want to have to do that. Okay? And when I went back to the classroom, I told the other students, I apologize about that. Okay? But that kind of behavior in classroom is unacceptable. Okay? It's unacceptable in a society where children need to learn. Okay? In the USA, they can't do that. Okay? The school that my daughter goes to, no cell phones. 0 cell phones. 0. Okay? They have teachers' aides. They look through their backpacks. They look through everything. If they find a cell phone, they take it to the office. The mommy or the daddy needs to come get the cell phone. And the principal tells them, if we catch him with a cell phone again, you won't have to come get it. We'll just take a hammer to it. Okay? Okay? If you need to get a hold of your student during class, if there's some kind of an emergency or you need to come, whatever it is, you come to the office. The office will go get the student. There's no reason in the world for a child to have a cell phone in school. None. Okay? That's why I like the school my daughter goes to. Okay? When my daughter went to the school that she goes to, number one, she's learning 3 languages. She speaks fluently. English, Khmer, the Cambodian language, and Chinese. 9 years old. Okay? They don't have that in the USA, number one. Number two, they had at the time my daughter went to that school, we looked around a lot of different schools. Okay? We filled out an application. The principal at that time was a woman, and she spoke very good English, very clear. And she saw in the application, I was from California. She said, sir, I see you're from California. And I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, well, I'm just letting you know right here and now, okay? This is a very strict school, okay? Boys are boys and girls are girls. We don't do any of this gender bending and all the rest of that, okay? The girls wear uniforms, they wear dresses, and the boys wear pants, or I believe they wear shorts, okay? And that's the way that is. And I said, right on, okay? She said, we do not support any kind of behavior that's unacceptable in the class, or in the school, excuse me. We don't allow the children to hold hands, so the girls can, you know, or whatever. I guess if the boys want to, they can too. But once they're to a certain age, they don't allow that. Okay? There's no kissing, there's no nothing. Okay? But she said we have an extremely high rate of students that leave this school and go on to higher education. I said, right on. Okay? We found the school. That's the one we want. Okay. Now to get back to the schools in the USA. Okay. Once they're out of junior high, I think is what they call it now, and they go into high school, right? They just play with their phones. They threaten teachers. They do all these kind of disruptive things. Okay. And the school just passes them. Okay. The school's over here. If you don't pass the test, you don't go into the next grade. That's just the way it is. Okay? When I was teaching over here, I had 10 and 11-year-old students in preschool English. They couldn't pass it. That's where they stayed. They stayed in preschool English until they could pass it to the next grade. Here in the United States, they just pass them on to the next grade, not the teacher's problem. They just pass them on and on and on. Okay? That is robbing your children. That's stealing your children's future. Okay? Now, let's just say by some freak of nature that they graduate from high school, okay? And they go to a university where they're going to be paying thousands and thousands of dollars for years, okay? They call them predatory loans, but hey, you know what? The children are 18 years old, and if they cannot read enough to understand what they're signing, so be it. Then that's the money they owe, okay? Like I said, your children are being robbed of their future. They get out of the university and they don't know how to make a living. Okay? Go look on that, I hate to tell you this, but go look on that nasty Platform X, that disgusting Platform X. Okay? I want to, okay? You know the guy that owns it. I want to take his head and shove it in the toilet. Okay? Maybe they'll ban me for saying that. But that's what I want to do. That's where it belongs, right? Okay? That's why all those girls on there have to do OnlyFans and all the rest of that stuff, because they don't know how to make a living, okay? They can't even work at a cashier, right? They can't show up to time. They can't show up for time to work, right? They want to play with their phones on the job and all the rest of that stuff. Now, I'm not speaking about every child in the USA, but I'm going to say at least 80% of them, okay? Graduate from high school and then on to university and don't know how to make a living. They're working in Starbucks making coffee, and most of them can't even do that. They F that up, okay? So your children's future is being robbed. Don't you understand that? Okay? It's being robbed. You have to get them out of that school system. Okay? The teachers union has a grip on it. They won't let them open charter schools. Do you know how difficult it is to open a charter school in California alone? I don't know about other states, but in California, my God, it's so difficult. Okay? Over here, I could open up a school tomorrow if I wanted. Right? I would have to fill out the government paperwork and everything. I say tomorrow. It would probably be passed tomorrow, but you understand, right? Okay? They're graduating from high school and from college and not knowing how to make a living. Okay? So their only choice is OnlyFans for the girls. And the boys, well, in and out of jail, right? Doing all these things, whatever they have to do, living at home with mommy in the basement, right? Okay? So you parents are responsible. That's your job. Okay? That's your job, is to be responsible for your children, to make sure they have a good education. You have to read to them. You have to explain to them things. You have to take walks with them. Talk to them about different things every day, except for Sunday. Okay. 6 days a week. On Sunday, I don't. 6 days a week, I go sit on my daughter's bed at 4:50 in the morning. And I sit there and I talk with her, okay? She likes it when I go in there and I play with her hair and scratch her back and I sit on her bed and wake her up and we talk about all kinds of things, right? Sometimes we talk about serious things. Sometimes we just talk about funny things, okay? But we talk, okay? We read together. We watch movies together, okay? We interact together. That's what we're supposed to do, right? As parents, okay? That's what we're supposed to do as parents. We're supposed to make sure that our children have a better life than we had, okay? And I'm going to do everything I can in my power to make sure my daughter has a better life than I had. And I had a really terrible life when I was young, okay? But the older I got, I learned that reading was the key, reading and hard work. But I want my daughter to have a very, very nice life. Okay? I want everyone's children to have a very nice life. But without the parents' involvement, it's not going to happen. Okay? you're just sending them to an indoctrination center. You might as well be putting them in a jail because that's where they're going to probably end up. Okay? So think about that. Okay? Okay? And you ladies that have all these kids with all these different dads, stop doing that. Stop doing that. Okay? Stop doing it. Okay? It's disrespectful to your children. It's disrespectful to your community. And you know exactly the people I'm talking about. Right? They're the same ones that go on the Carnival cruise. You know who I'm talking about, right? Okay? So I would say man up, but for the ladies, lady up. Man up. Right? Okay? I thank you guys for listening to me. Please hit like and subscribe. And please, for the love of God, okay, help educate your children so they can make a nice living for themselves, right? And possibly even take care of you in your old age. I don't know. They don't really do that a lot in the USA, but okay, be responsible for your children's education. All right, man. I appreciate you guys listening to me. Thank you so very much. And you guys have a nice day out there and be safe. And like I said, don't forget, like and subscribe. People are really starting to subscribe. Now, I know a lot, but some are, man. I want to thank you guys for subscribing to my channel so much, man. Thank you guys so much. I really so much appreciate it, okay? You guys be safe.